Alright, this is a full picture of the huge Marengo map. I'm going to zoom in on the action, but I want you to see the whole map to start with. Napoleon and Murat start way back here, and the Austrians want to break out from Alexandria and get off this side of the map. The whole battle is a long fight. The Austrians start with the breakout move. The Austrians begin by shelling the French left. The detachment on the extreme French left is driven back. Ott's men move out. O'Reilly's light troops move out. Now the main body of Melis's Austrian troops move out. Those troops that are in column have my column markers on them. Column markers aren't necessary to play pub battles, but I find they help me to keep things organized. There will be a link in the description. That's it for the Austrian early morning breakout. And now we start with the early morning first turn of the game. Ott and his light troops move out. Victor's corps reacts. The Austrian artillery will open up on the rest of the French line. The skirmishers fall back. Ott moves forward and commands the attack. In the center of the map, from Castel Ciriolo all the way down to Castel Grossa, is the peak of the land, the rising hill. Murat races to mount it and view the battle. Lannes extends his line and occupies Castel Ciriolo, and Melas orders the troops in the center to smash the French line. And now Victor and Lannes are wondering if they shouldn't have pulled back farther, and combat erupts. All along the line, the Austrians push the French back. Around Marengo, the fighting was hot. It's mid-morning, and the French will have to decide where they want to make a stand. The Austrians have a very strong breakout move. Late morning, O'Reilly presses forward with his light troops on the left. Lannes has sent word that he cannot hold without support. Napoleon races towards him. Lannes invests Castel Ciriolo and has Watson fall back to the hills. And Victor pulls his men back as far as he can in good order. He places a detachment in Spinetta, and he has light troops screen his damaged formations. Murat's dragoons arrive. Murat himself, in a daring ploy, moves to get around the Austrian right. Ott calls for his artillery to come forward and begins moving his troops towards the French line. Austrian grenadiers and dragoons fall on the French line. And late morning combat erupts. Keim's Demi brigades try to clear Spinetta, which they do. And now the French line. Victor's men drive back the Austrian grenadiers, but they're exhausted in the attempt. And now it's midday. The French army is almost broke. So far, not unlike historically, this has been a disaster for the French. Everything has gone wrong for them. Next turn, Desai shows up. Will he, like he did historically, win a battle once the original one was lost? We'll see. It's midday. Ott reinforces his right and impatiently waits for his artillery. Murat hits the thinly dispersed troops on Ott's far right. Will the Austrians hold? O'Reilly's light troops come through the woods. Victor's corps is exhausted. He cannot rally any more of his men. He falls back. Having to turn to face the oncoming Austrians, his troops were unable to gain the hill. Lannes, seeing the artillery arrayed in front of him, the Austrians all around him, decides he must fall back. And Melas keeps up the pressure. Napoleon, quick and desperate, pulls his precious artillery to safety and sends his guard to cover the baggage. Midday combat. The cavalry coming through the orchard. Though it's a wild chase in and around the trees, the Austrians are ultimately cut down. Although outnumbered 2-1, Victor's troops are fresh. Melis's troops are spent. And with the first light in the French day, though his troops are quite worn out, the exhausted Austrians fell apart in the assault. And now it's early afternoon. We hope to see Desai. And now, when it's most critical, Melas' troops seem to be losing their initiative. Melas is having trouble commanding such a wide array of forces. He does have some artillery to fire on Victor's troops. He drives them back to the hill they were going to get on top of anyway. And Ott forms up to guard his right. Murat's cavalry comes out and wheels and charges. Murat, riding in front. It's not really part of the rules, but it makes for good drama. And Desai arrives. and Victor moves to save the Emperor. Linné falls back to stave off disaster, and the Emperor pulls his artillery to safety. Combat in the early afternoon. Murat's charge. Ot's troops are swept aside. Victor's troops, outflanking the exhausted Austrians as they attack the Imperial Guard. The Austrians are shocked and they fall back. And now it's late afternoon. Desai races forward and shakes out in the line as close as he can. 1/3 of a foot move to the Austrian troops. Victor runs up and shakes Desai's hand. Desai says, well, this battle is lost, but perhaps we can win another. And the last element of Desai's corps joins him. And Murat charges forward with the cuirassiers and contacts the Austrian bags. Hearing French heavy cavalry in their rear, running roughshod over their bags, panics the whole Austrian army and they break. The rule states, at the beginning of combat, the bags are eliminated if they are in contact with enemy troops. Because the cuirassiers can charge, combat is right now. There's no time for them to move the bags. They are eliminated, and the French win. Interestingly, once again, just like happened historically, the Austrians break at the moment the cuirassiers charge. Vive la France!